So at CFS, we're firm believers that college savings begins with strategic and proper school selection. And that is especially applicable if you're a family who does not qualify for need-based financial aid. And that's why we always start with asking that question and answering that question, am I eligible for need-based financial aid? And if the answer is no, that doesn't mean you're out of luck. That just means you need to shift your focus on the types of schools you're looking at. Strategies for what we call low-need families. They're not going to demonstrate any need-based financial aid, okay? Where you will see your discounts is via merit-based scholarships. Merit has nothing to do with the family's financials, everything to do with the student's GPA, SATs, that sort of thing. And to start, I think it's important to understand that merit-based aid is very subjective, and it's certainly a school-by-school basis. Some schools are much more generous than others at giving out that type of money. So certainly if you're a low-need family, okay, in other words, someone with a high EFC, you want to make sure you have at least some schools on your list that the student's going to be a good candidate for a merit scholarship. Okay, that's where you'll see your discount. Some schools do not do any merit scholarships, zero merit money. And for example, the Ivy League schools, any of those, any of the NESCAC schools, like Williams, Amherst, Colby, Bowdoin, they don't do any merit-based aid. And I want to share with you a story from a family that I met with a few years ago. And I share it so that way other families can avoid this problem. And this was a family that was on the affluent side, high EFC, not eligible for any need-based financial aid. Their daughter was an excellent student, excellent GPA, excellent ACTs, SATs, top of the class, what have you. They said, you know what? We're not worried about need-based aid because she's so smart, she's going to get some sort of merit-based scholarship. That's just how the process works. Well, I took a look at their list. They were applying, or they had applied to at that point, to 10 schools. 5 of those schools were Ivy League schools. 5 of those schools were NESCAC schools. So I had to inform them that every single college they applied to was going to be full sticker price, and that is applicable for all 4 years. There would be no discounts. To say that that was shocking to them is an understatement. So I share this because we truly believe that, similar to building out your college list and you want to have balance in terms of admissibility, we think you should have the same type of balance in terms of affordability. We're not saying don't apply to those Ivy League schools or don't apply to the NESCAC schools, but certainly you want to have some schools on your list where you will see a discount, because when the dust settles at the end of senior year and you're weighing out your options, it's nice to have those to fall back on. We know that the Ivies and the NESCACs don't do merit-based aid. What are some schools that do well with merit-based aid? And I say this because there is a misconception that, well, we may have to choose a school that isn't competitive. We'll have to go down a tier perhaps, but there are plenty of schools that are excellent schools that are going to offer merit discounts. Tulane, Boston University, Northeastern are a few that are very generous. The other strategy you want to focus on, and we alluded to it before, is focusing on value schools, where when we talk about that equation in determining need-based financial aid, your cost of attendance minus your family contribution equals need, to start, cost of attendance is the third most important component, right? But if you're a family who does not qualify for need-based financial aid, that cost of attendance number now does become the most important component in terms of what's going to be coming out of your pocket. So we want to identify some schools that fall on the lower side of that range. We talked about James Madison, where their all-in cost is $37,000. Not too bad. We have other schools. We're big fans of the SUNY system, which is the State University of New York. Binghamton, Geneseo, excellent schools that are all-in cost going to be around $35,000, $36,000. So in finding value, another misconception that we want to shed some truth on is that you don't have to go to a school in state. You don't have to go to your state university in order to find a value school. There's plenty of schools out there that are going to fall on the lower side of that range. So we want to make sure that families with high EFCs, high net worths, know that they have options, that they can approach this in a school selection standpoint, okay? It's as critical for them to put together a strategic school list as it is for the family who demonstrates a lot of need-based aid. Now, one more word of caution in terms of merit-based aid, and we'll offer sort of a free resource for you, is a lot of families are familiar with College Board. Okay, every student is going to have an account. That's where you register for the ACTs, the SATs. You can search for any school throughout the country, and it's a very good resource. In using College Board to determine if a college offers merit scholarships, I like to use Johns Hopkins as an example. If you search College Board for Johns Hopkins and you go to their paying tab, you'll see something on there that says average non-need-based financial aid. Okay, so that indicates, yes, they do in fact offer merit-based scholarships. And for Johns Hopkins, it'll say their average non-need-based aid is around $20,000. I bring this up because it's a little misleading. Johns Hopkins, they do offer merit scholarships, but only to a very small percentage of students. Maybe a handful of their applicants get awarded a merit scholarship. So yes, their average might be $20,000, but that's only going to a handful of students. So that potentially could be misleading. So I want to make sure that gets cleared up. Over the past decade, we've been searching for a tool to really hone in on how to best gauge merit-based scholarships. And as we worked through it, there was not one good resource on where you can go. So we decided to build our own proprietary technology. We call it College Aid Pro. What you can use this platform is by putting in your family's credentials. It's going to tell you whether you're eligible for need-based financial aid or not. And should you not be eligible for need-based financial aid, you could search for schools and it's going to tell you if that student is going to be a good candidate for a merit scholarship. Pretty unique tool, and I think it's one that families who do not demonstrate eligibility for need-based financial aid can really benefit from, because you can search for any school that you want to get a good gauge on whether you'll see a discount or not.